So what we're going to do is we're here to expose it, let people tell their story, and let everybody in the public see the horrors of the court system in Suffolk County, New York.
Long Island Backstory with Chief Correspondent Gary Jacobs.
Good afternoon, I'm Gary Jacobs, and welcome to another edition of Long Island Backstory, where we film at the Cablevision Studios in Hauppauge, New York. My next guest today is Rabbi Ahron Berlins, and unfortunately, this is a sad story that's all too common here. I mean, it's a story about divorce. Unfortunately, I'd like to have him here for other spiritual things, and maybe one day we'll get him back for that. But there's so many people who write to me at longislandbackstory@gmail.com with stories about horrific divorces. There's so many that I could just do every week, do a show on divorces. What struck me about this story that was a little bit different was that it involves the rabbi's daughter, who cannot speak for herself here today because she is deaf. And she married a man who was deaf. And what struck me is when they called me and they said, well, here's the problem. We have a judge in Nassau County, Judge Hope Schwartz Zimmerman, who's been featured, unfortunately, which being featured on my show is not a good thing, but about putting people in jail. And when they called me, and the rabbi was petrified that his daughter may face jail. And you take a step back and you say, how ridiculous is it, no matter what this woman did, that she would be facing jail, a deaf woman who's never been arrested in her life, comes from a loving family, and because something that has to do with a divorce, we would put her in jail. The woman is not violent, she hasn't threatened anybody, she's not a danger to society, yet it would even be considered that they would put this woman in jail so that this rabbi would be so desperate to reach out and say, please tell my story. I don't want my daughter going to jail. So Rabbi, welcome to the show. I know it's not an easy thing to talk about. Correct. But you felt it was important, yes, to get the story out. Yes. And listen, as you said when we spoke, it's also somewhat embarrassing. You know, you're putting your whole public life forward, your daughter's life, but it's a story that needs to be told. So let's start at the beginning. Can you tell me, how did your daughter's marriage union come about?
Yes, I met the parents of the boy. They met me, and they made clear to me that the marriage, they want this marriage. So, and they, whatever, they try to convince me that this is an opportunity for my daughter, which may be the best opportunity for her, but the boy is good. Especially they promise they have some program for the kids, because they own the company Maxi-Aids, and they have a special for those kids. They're going to be, especially they wanted my daughter should be like one of the owners or something like this, and they need it and they want it, and it's good for her, both sides. So this is like opportunity for both families.
Almost more financially than
not really, because it's both things very important.
So they did love each other.
Yes, but the finance was very important also.
Right.
But what they offered, I mean, they were talking more about the financial, because this is what technically was the meeting. So they promised me whatever that they needed and they wanted, that she should take position in this company like almost an owner. She has to act for many reasons what they need, and it's going to be good for her. And I promise for her that she needs to act as she's able, her duties, her actions at the company should be like Maxi-Aids, like a partner.
Did she have experience that you would bring? Did she have business experience to bring? I mean, I know she's deaf, but that doesn't mean that she wouldn't have the business experience. Did she have business experience that she would be an asset to the company?
As he explained me that the plan that he has for her does not just need loyalty, and she shall follow the rules very carefully, which is the most important thing that she shall do, exactly what is needed, what he's offering, what he's already calculated. Everything was ready, what she's going to be doing. It seemed that he came already with a very, very ready plan, which was for him, for sure, good, but he was more talking about what's going to be good for the kids, whatever. Right. So somehow he was encouraging, he was chasing me for a long time that they shall make this wedding. But so when it came more seriously, he told me that before the marriage is going to happening, we have to agree that she will take those. The family shall agree that she must have those positions that he already spoke over with me or whatever. This is something which it's like a condition. Only this way it's going to work.
Right. If she signs all these papers and acts as
no, it was not. He didn't tell me.
Nothing signed?
He told me that he's going to whenever we're going to agree to this, it's going to be over whatever. Actually, we agreed that I felt that is a good opportunity.
Well, you thought it was in your daughter's best interest. Why not have money?
Yeah.
That's not a bad thing.
Yes.
So they get married. I just want to move it along a little.
So after this,
okay,
was like 2 weeks or approximately, he came over to my house with his son, and he brought a few hundred pages with the documents and made us sign the entire package.
This is before the marriage?
Yes, this was the condition before we go ahead.
Almost like a prenup.
Yes, so I was watching what they're doing. I mean, he promised me that this is only for the benefit for the company, for the bank, and for her, because this is just a way how their business should be set up. Nothing. So basically, I was looking, I was watching. I couldn't understand too much.
You're not a lawyer.
But it was bank papers, documents, whatever, contracts, a whole set of. But that time was not so much familiar with legal papers at all. So she was sitting by my house like 2 hours at least till she finished signing all the papers, and by the end I did not get a copy for some reason. So then we went on to the marriage,
which was in '94.
Yes, this was like June '94. It was the entire procedure took like a few weeks, like 7-8 weeks till the wedding came.
Okay, so they get married and they have children.
The children. She had a child in the first after 9 months. She had already a child, and they had 3 children.
So they had 3 children,
yeah.
And then in 2004, what caused the marriage to break up? Well, let me ask you, what was the marriage like between '94 and 2004? Was it a good marriage? Was there any problems?
Immediately after the marriage, she was start working and doing what was promised, whatever, and this was very stressful for her. And she did not tell me so much, but we know why, because she told me she has to, first of all, she has to work, she has to sign a lot of papers, and she has to do it in such a way that she's not allowed even to ask what it is. She has no clue. It's
she
like
probably wouldn't even understand.
No, they have the entire company is a company for deaf and blind.
Oh, it is, okay.
So they were equipped with any kind of equipment. They should interpreters, whatever. There's no question. Okay. But for reasons, they kept her away from information that do it in a way that you ordered to do it. Otherwise you're not going to be welcome. Whatever. That she was doing it in such a way that there was a frustration. It was stressful. So the tension starts from the first day, because her husband also was working in a way hard. They were abusing, don't say abusing, but the way the company was operating was a very tough way. So my daughter was probably working harder than anybody else, because the other one were like family members or whatever. It was easier for them, but for her to be a stranger, came in and jump in such a different environment and be responsible to sign things that she have no idea. So this was, the tension was in the beginning start. And she didn't get help at home, but that he promised that she's going to be able to have like help, whatever, was very minimum. And the work that she did was very hard work.
So what happened? So were they happy together, though? Forget about the business part. From '94 to 2004, were they happy together?
To some point, they was happy because there was children. There was something to go out and to show that she had a child right after mine. There was happiness for sure, but it didn't took away the stress, right. the worries.
So just to move it along, only because, I mean, there's hours and hours of stuff. I was years and years, but what caused it to break apart in 2004?
Yeah, because in the later stages, they had to import a lot of things that, as I understand today, was illegal stuff. Some of them very nasty illegal stuff. Some of them were minor, but so part of the orders used to come to me, to my house. It's not my house, my place of work, whatever. And also in her house a little bit. But when it came to year 2000, they bought a house, a garage. So over there used to come daily trailers or smaller trucks and delivered. And it was the house was like a business delivery place. Mm-hmm. So this changed the environment a lot. And later on, I mean, many of the deliverers came like, but within an hour, her husband was already there and repacked and stripped off all the marks and whatever and repacked it and took it to Maxi-Aids. So this was already very smelled bad. And he was telling her that she needs to notify and immediately call him when the delivery comes. He shall be there. And the minute that if she was not home timely or whatever, she missed to call him timely, was a lot of tension. So, and this was like daily shippings coming to rip off the old package and other package and run away to Maxi-Aids. So this made her in the beginning, but we also were worrying that something which is not, it's not proper and it's not good, and it's who knows how much danger is in there.
So how did the marriage break apart in 2004? What came to a head?
Since when she was not willing, she was not cooperative. As time got by less and less, the attention became harder and harder. He would start abusing her verbally, harder and harder. And when it came to 2002, it already was very heavy physical abuse. So when this came she came with blue marks, red blue marks, and he's a strong person, 300 pounds or more, and she was 94 pounds. And my kids told me, she's going to be killed. He doesn't understand what he's doing, whatever, but she cannot take those kind of. So then, but in 2003, I have a daughter, she's a psychiatrist, but it's a social worker, she's licensed. And she had already some skills, but at that time she was young. But we came over to Elliot in the Maxi-Aids. We were family, so we asked them to make a meeting. So we told them, please, I mean, let them stop. So he said, let me call him in, let me see what's going on. So they were discussing back and forth, and he said, first he said it's impossible. Then he said, you know what? This is simple because otherwise it's not going to work. She's not cooperative. She's not listening. It's just something happening from time to time that he has to use force just to. So we ended up he promised us that he's going to do everything to improve it. And we also used to come at home, speak to Harold, to her husband, which she was deaf, but we had that. And he was after every meeting, it was effective. He was lesser, he was softer, whatever, but we had constantly working to stop violence and stop. But basically what we saw later on, this is because they have to continue to do their illegal whatever, and the cooperation is not as they wanted. Specifically in the year 2000, he came over to me and to my son, to my kids, and he started encouraging us that we should do anything. We need to help him because look what I'm doing for your daughter. She's married, she has a house. I bought a house already. In 2000, they bought a house. And so I need from you appreciation. So basically he was like trying to force us that we shall together with him signing, making up corporations that doesn't exist, and all kind. But that time he used to import a lot from South Africa, the brailers, which was for the blind people over there, in some way he used to sneak it away from them and bringing and make like $300 on each brailer at least, which this was money that Hilton or other organizations were donating to help out those black kids in Africa. The epidemic of AIDS they had tens of thousands of kids blind, and this was designed for them. And he, together with us, was opening up corporations that we are buying, like for the corporations, corporations in Africa and corporations over here. So the schools between themselves was so.
I gotta move it along a little bit faster, only because we're starting to get a little bit short, and I want to get to the divorce part and what happened with the courts, which is why your daughter is facing jail, because she's not facing jail because the police caught on to what happened with this other scheme. It's because of what's happening in family court.
Yeah, but because this was pointed that when the divorce took place in 2004, after he filed the divorce, there was start a campaign from hate, alienation, which was very clear what they're doing. So this was referred to the court, and in many ways, many times, and the court entirely ignored it. This was the cause of things, but that's why it went so bad. Right.
I mean, you went to court with it and said there was alienation, and I know there was issues where because she's deaf, there was an interpreter, and then they said the transcripts didn't actually reflect what she said. But it seems to me like instead of helping the situation, the courts let this thing go on, which is why you're so upset now that your daughter is facing jail. I think, is it one of her children is alienated against her at this point, or
all of them?
All three children?
Yes. I mean, whenever he has control of all of them. So
is that because he has the money? You think he was able to control them with the money?
The money and the connection that he has with the politicians, with the court, with the judges. We said this openly. So when something came to court, clearly on action that. We had a few problems that was very visible, very clearly. Let's say the child, the 2009, he made a motion, all kind of, that they shall take away from my daughter at least the older child. So the Judge Zimmerman was on the case, so she says, yes, no problem. So she basically approved this move. So since this older child went to him, and the older child was on the phone with the other siblings, my daughter is completely deaf. She didn't know. They were basically constantly on the phones. And he was directing. The older son was directing the younger kids. When we were at home, many times we overheard that Elliot is involved in the same conversation and was deciding exactly what move has to be done. And this was going down we came to court and we raised the issue.
Did they help you? Did they try to stop it, or how did they address it?
The court went to a certain point. Let's say when we came with that one of the kids was trying to commit suicide. So somehow she was hospitalized. Almost
Obviously, there's a problem. If it,
yes. So it was court proceeding. We took a lawyer, and the facts were clearly showing that this was what's going on is alienation.
Which is causing the depression, which is causing the suicide attempt.
Even by the court, we brought the fact that she had a problem because she went to shower. So the father opened up the door, break up the door, and she was undressed, and encouraged the two other siblings to abuse her. And this was in court, and the court approved. This happened. And they have a name for this. It was called like an emergency court investigation, whatever. And ended up, and my lawyer told me I'm not allowed to give you the papers, but I can tell you basically what it is. And the court took whatever, they took actions, whatever, but the actions was just not to give them away custody of the other kids, but anything else was not done. So basically was encouraged then to go to the next step. The younger child came to school one day, and he said that my mother has a house full of guns, and I'm going to be over by tomorrow. I'm going to kill 4 kids. So the school got crazy. I mean, they called the police. What's going on? So there was a whole squad of police came to my daughter's house, and they were looking for guns. So
did she have guns?
She didn't have nothing, but the action they had, the police said they have no choice. When they have something, a call like this, they have to do it.
Of course.
So by the end, the police said to my daughter, if it's going to be a repeat of this one, it's going to be consequences. They don't care what, but this cannot. In the school, I have the email from the school, and they were very unhappy that something like this being going on. The school made another investigation a day later, whatever, and they find out from the younger boy, that the older brother told them exactly what to say and how to blame. So, but this went to court, and there's no action. There was not even a decision.
So, Rabbi, what should the courts do? What should they do in your case? What do you think, if you could talk to the judge, what should the judge do? What should Judge Zimmerman do at this point?
I mean, in this action or the other action?
Well, at this point, I mean, the other judges seem to have let this escalate to such a crazy point where your daughter is facing jail for contempt. The kids are alienated. I mean, this is a disaster.
Yes.
So what does Judge Zimmerman do now?
Judge Zimmerman basically,
But what should she do?
First of all, she has to take a look what's really going on. The person has all the kids, and the kids have no connection with the mother whatsoever, and he's alienating the kids on the highest way possible. And then when he comes with all kinds of claims, they shall be just looking at, just to take a look what's going on, not even go any deeper, just to see the guy is rich, the guy has experience, the guy was arrested, and he was convicted, and he was. If you took the history of the case, this is something which is has a clear path. It's not something. Here's a different story. It's
not he said, she said.
Yes, it's a continuous. Especially Judge Zimmerman was on this case 10 years. So she should know. By that time, she said, "I can't believe it. I can't believe it. People keep fighting. It has to be an end to this." I agree. Right. I never wanted. But this is our family would never fight. We don't need it.
Right. Are the children talking to you and your wife?
No.
So they're alienated from the whole family. Which to me, if Judge Zimmerman, if they're not talking to your wife, yeah, maybe she did something. I don't think there's any reason why they wouldn't talk to their mother. There would have to be some proof. But not talking to the family, it makes it clear that there's alienation. Do something about it instead of acting on the money.
100%.
You know, and that's the big issue. And there's a lot more to go over here. And we're going to have you back on the show, Rabbi. And, you know, I wish you the best with the alienation. I'm hoping if anybody, Judge Zimmerman is watching, we've had a lot of problems with this judge in the past. And, you know, does this serve the public well, putting somebody in jail? The woman's already a victim of alienation. putting her in jail? What does that serve?
One point to make at this, you're talking about the judge that knows the case more than 10 years.
Right.
And the case is one of the cases that I don't know if there's any compare on the planet. But Zaretsky said, whoever says Zaretsky in Nassau County, there's no comparison to this. Right. And she knows the case, and she knows exactly, I mean.
So she needs to do something and end it equitably and get the kids back talking
no,
to your daughter and your family.
She tried herself basically all the way to satisfy any way that Zaretsky, any dream that they want.
Zaretsky is the ex.
The ex, yes. She's named Zaretsky, but this is Elliot Zaretsky, the owner of Maxi-Aids, whatever. She's making sure that they shall be satisfied with any dream, any request, any motion, anything. There's nothing has to be clearly in motions, clearly that she's denying for my daughter a lawyer, and the other lawyer himself said that whatever he said, clearly that he was abusing the...
Well, listen, Judge Zimmerman is not beyond, if you told me this about somebody else, I might say, I'm not so sure. Judge Zimmerman is not beyond being biased.
No,
she's biased, she gets her mind made up, and that's it.
When our motion was on, she didn't decide on the motion. She decided on the motion 2 months later. She ruled 2 months earlier things that the motion was still on. It doesn't bother her at all.
Well, Rabbi, thank you very much. I'm sorry for what you're going through. I know it was difficult. We'll have to have you come on and get more into detail, and hopefully we'll have a better outcome, because at the end of the day, the courts are supposed to care about the children. Certainly not in the best children losing half of their loving family. I'm Gary Jacobs, and thank you for joining us on Long Island Backstory.
Long Island Backstory is made possible in part by Americans for Legal Reform, the oldest, most successful legal group in the world. P.O. Box 2679, Huntington Station, New York 11746. Telephone 631-421-6390. Website Americans4legalreform.com.
Preventing wildfires. That's all Smokey wants for his 70th birthday.
They'll test you. Try to break your will. But however loud the loudness gets, however many cheese puffs may fly, you're the driver, the one in control. Stand firm. Just wait. And move only when you hear the click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up.
They told me a bottle couldn't dream. That I would never become a superhero. But I learned how to fly. Just to come back in a new disguise and be the hero that I've always wanted to be.